Welcome to another episode, everyone. We're looking at Alma 53 today.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
It's all about the Nephites and how they survived during a time of intense war. I think we can learn a lot from them. Like right off the bat, we see Moroni, the Nephite captain.
Right.
He's got all these Lamanite prisoners from the battle at Mulek. And instead of seeing them as a problem, he actually uses them to make the city of Bountiful stronger.
Smart.
Alma 53, verses 3 and 4, say he had them dig ditches and build breastworks.
That's basically huge walls to protect the city?
Exactly. And get this, they used the Lamanites to build their own prison.
Oh, wow. That's like using their strength against them.
Right. It's pretty clever.
It is, and it shows what kind of leader Moroni was.
Yeah.
Resourceful, adaptable. Definitely a man of action.
Makes me think of the Romans.
Oh, yeah.
They did similar things, using what they captured in battle to help themselves.
Interesting.
Makes you wonder if that's something we can still learn from today.
Maybe. Like sometimes our best moments come from overcoming limitations.
Yeah, I like that. But while Moroni was making Bountiful stronger, things weren't going so well on the other side of the Nephite lands.
Oh, right. Alma 53 verse 8 talks about that.
Yeah, it says that the Nephites on the west were really struggling.
And there's a reason for that. It was internal strife.
Oh, so like fighting amongst themselves.
Exactly. Verses 8 and 9 talk about intrigue and dissensions among them.
It's like their own divisions made them weaker, and the Lamanites took advantage.
Unfortunately, yeah. They lost a few cities because of it.
So even with a good leader like Moroni, if they weren't united, it didn't matter.
Right. It's like a tapestry. You pull one thread and the whole thing can unravel.
And we see that happen over and over again in history.
For sure.
Yeah, internal conflicts, they can be just as dangerous as fighting an enemy.
Totally agree. And that brings us to a really interesting group, the people of Ammon.
Oh, yeah. They're the ones who converted to Christianity, right?
Yep. They used to be called the Anti-Nephilihis.
And they swore to never kill again.
It's in Alma 24, a really powerful oath.
They were serious about peace.
They were.
Alma 53 verses 10 to 12 tell about how they wouldn't even defend themselves when the Lamanites attack.
True pacifists.
But that commitment was going to be challenged.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
How so?
Well, the Nephites were losing ground trying to protect them.
Ah, I see.
It put the people of Ammon in a tough spot.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Verses 13 and 14 really show their pain.
Wanting to defend their new home, but also bound by their promise.
It must have been a huge internal struggle for them.
It reminds us that faith isn't always easy.
Right. Sometimes it takes real sacrifice.
But then something amazing happened. Their sons stepped up.
The 2,000 stripling warriors.
A whole generation raised in peace, ready to fight for the freedom their fathers had won through pacifism.
It's kind of beautiful when you think about it.
Yeah, the fathers bound by their oath, and the sons rising to defend those very principles.
Amazing.
And that's where we'll pick up next time with their story.
These sons of the people of Ammon, they're a real example of faith in action. You know?
I can't even imagine.
What's that?
2,000 young men, many probably teenagers,
right,
willing to fight for people who weren't even related to them.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
But faith, it can make you do amazing things.
It does.
These stripling warriors, they saw the Nephites as their brothers and sisters in Christ.
That's true. Defending
their freedom meant defending their own faith.
Makes sense.
And you can see their commitment in how they acted.
Oh, totally. Alma 53.1617.
Right there.
It describes how they formed their own army.
Called themselves Nephites.
Yep. And vowed to defend their new land, even if it meant dying.
They were serious.
They weren't messing around.
Not at all. And Alma 53.2-21.
What does it say?
It describes them as valiant, strong.
Men of truth.
Wow. Raised to keep God's commandments.
They really lived those values.
They did. Not just on the battlefield, but in their everyday lives, too.
It's that foundation that made them such good warriors.
Yeah. Think about it. They were young, probably had no real battle experience.
And they were going up against the Lamanites,
who had been fighting for years.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It is Alma 56.4548.
Yes.
It says they were attacked fiercely.
But they didn't falter.
Not one of them. Their courage was incredible.
More than courage, I think.
What do you mean?
It was faith. They believed God was with them.
Right.
And that gave them strength.
Absolutely. And their leader, Helaman, he knew that their faith was their best weapon.
And he led them accordingly.
He did. He reminded them constantly what they were fighting for.
A righteous cause.
Exactly. True strength comes from believing in something bigger than yourself.
I love that.
Me too. It's what allowed those young men to overcome such huge obstacles and win.
Their story really makes you think.
How so?
Well, we often think of courage as this big dramatic thing.
Yeah.
But the stripling warriors show us it's also in the small choices we make every day.
You're wrong.
Standing up for what you believe in, even when it's hard.
Their courage wasn't a one-time thing.
It was a way of life.
Yes. Built on faith and righteousness. They were ready for that moment because of how they had lived their lives.
It's a good reminder that character takes time to build.
It does. It's built through faith, integrity, service.
Especially for young people today.
I know, right? So many distractions.
So many temptations.
The stripling warriors, they show us that true strength comes from sticking to your values.
Their story asks us, what are we willing to fight for?
Exactly. Are we living by our beliefs?
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And even in the midst of darkness and turmoil.
There's always hope.
Always. Faith, courage, commitment to righteousness.
They can help us overcome anything.
Even in the toughest situations.
Yeah.
But what about Moroni?
Oh, yeah.
Where does he go from here?
Well, after making Bountiful safe and dealing with the prisoners,
Ah,
Moroni, he turns his attention back to the bigger picture.
the war.
The war. He's always thinking strategically.
Always a few steps ahead.
Yeah, like in Alma 56.9,
Okay.
Moroni sends a message to Helaman.
T. Helaman.
Yeah, praising him and the stripling warriors for their courage
Of course.
and, telling them what to do next.
So he was thinking about the whole war effort.
Exactly. He knew they had to work together.
Coordination.
Communication.
Yeah, it's so important.
It is. Moroni gets it. He's a brilliant military leader, but he's also amazing at planning and logistics.
He's thinking of everything.
He is. And even when things are tough, he never gives up hope.
That's true. There were so many challenges.
Betrayals arguments, those Lamanite attacks never stopped.
But he kept going.
He did. His faith never wavered.
He was dedicated to doing what was right.
Absolutely. And the way he rallied his people, it's incredible.
He was a true leader.
It was a real example of courage and integrity.
Leading by example.
Exactly. His actions spoke louder than words.
And his story, together with the stripling warriors,
Yeah.
it shows us that even when things seem impossible,
Right.
faith, courage, and unity, they can make all the difference.
They can change everything. Those are the things that build strong nations.
And strong community.
And ultimately, they lead to victory.
And those qualities, they're still important today.
Oh, they are just as much as they were back then.
So when we think about Moroni Helaman and those amazing stripling warriors, let's remember that we can make a difference too.
We can.
We can choose faith over fear,
Yes.
unity over division.
Action over apathy.
Let's be inspired by their example
And live with courage and integrity.
and serve others.
Who knows, maybe what we do,
Even the small things
they could inspire others too.
create a ripple effect of good.
Like the stripling warriors.
They were just young men.
But their story still inspires people today.
It reminds us that we all have the potential to do great things,
We do. We may not all be called to fight in a war.
but we all have challenges
And we all have opportunities
to live by our values.
make a difference.
Let's remember Moroni Helaman, the stripling warriors,
And let's go forward with faith, courage, and determination
to make the world a better place.
for ourselves and everyone around us.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed our discussion on the Book of Alma.